So once again, welcome to the call. So we're talking about chapter 6 of Napoleon Hill's book, Imagination, which talks about basically, or introduces us or reminds us that everything begins in the mind. Every single idea that has been created in the world, whether it's a car, think of Henry Ford, whether it's Andrew Carnegie and his companies, which are like multi-millionaire companies. Anyone like Dubai, for example, the city, someone just went to Dubai and decided that they're going to, build a city in a desert and just scale beyond everything, like do the best of the best. Like, for example, do things like building a hotel in the middle of the ocean, or build the tallest building in the world. That began in someone's imagination, right? Now, the interesting thing is, and I'll talk about the first form of imagination, then I'll let Shiro just continue with that. So there are two forms of imagination, and I think this is very important for us to note. The first one is called synthetic imagination. Now, all of us, we have experiences. We probably, I have my entrepreneurial experience, I have my experience as a mom, I have my experience as a friend, a spouse, whatever. All of you guys have your own experiences, where you're working, at your jobs, the schools that you went to, your backgrounds, all those are experiences. If you're educated, you have a PhD, master's, that's your experience, right? And our experiences and the ideas we currently have about success, or just about anything, about how to have a successful relationship, about how to build a successful business, those are ideas that we currently have. Now, those come from our synthetic imagination. Okay, so our synthetic imagination is basically, what we tend to do is we tend to use old concepts, old books, things that we have read or seen or watched, to create new things. So it's really like we are recycling what we already have to keep on devising new ways in which to be able to succeed or to be able to build up a new idea. So technically, it may not necessarily be a new idea, okay? It could be the same way somebody starts a hotel somewhere in an open land where there's nothing, and then someone else comes and starts a hotel there. That may not necessarily be a very new idea. It's still new because it wasn't there before, but then it comes from a present idea. He saw a hotel there, then he said, oh, this is a good business opportunity. So I want you guys to just hold that thought, because it's very important to differentiate between the synthetic imagination, okay, when it comes to success, and what Shira is going to be talking about, which is the creative imagination. So I'll just let her step in just to talk about the creative imagination, and then we'll bring it together.
So thank you very much, Lilo, for that. So like you've had the synthetic and creative. And creative, actually, the only distinctive we have between synthetic and creative is basically when you do creative thinking or creative imagination, you have to introduce an idea. Okay, you have to let the idea work for you. And I mean, what do I mean? Remember, the creative imagination only functions when the conscious mind is stimulated, for example, by an emotion or a desire. And I'll take you back to chapter 2 of this book of Think and Grow Rich. We talk about desire. And remember, you have to have your desire written down. So for you to stimulate that creativeness, you have to have the desire. So I'm sure we have all the members on the call. What's our desire when it comes to Forex trading? What's our desire about ranking up? So like Miss Okado here, I'm so sure, I know we've been talking to her and she's like, she needs to get to where she's trading 5 figures. That's her desire. So for her to have a creative imagination, and that for that idea to work, it has to go hand in hand with desire, so that you're able to again stimulate your conscious mind. Remember, the conscious mind is what is alert, is what is awake. You're not asleep, you're using it like on a daily basis. So basically, you have more awareness when your synthetic gets stuck. So when that synthetic gets stuck, you have to engage the creative imagination for everything to make sense. So, and that's why you find like big companies like Akina Coca-Cola, the guy who came up like with the light, I think he's called Edison, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Thomas Edison. Mm-hmm. If you only had the imagination of synthetic, you'd have gone up to his education, but an idea snapped, and then he used his creative imagination, and voila, we got light. Now everyone has light because of that idea that he decided again to implement. Yeah. So basically, that's what creative imagination is all about.
Yeah. And just to talk about also still on the same point, when it comes to this, so there's a synthetic and the creative, as the names really suggest. Synthetic is man-made, the way we know it, right? It's made from, we are the ones who create them, right?
Yeah.
But what Napoleon Hill says is that synthetic imagination creates nothing. It works with the experiences and education. Like it you.
Yeah.
Whatever is already, it's already there. Like, and that's why sometimes we always say there's no new thing under the sun. A lot of the time, when we say there's no new thing under the sun, what we are trying to say is most of the time, the things that we think are new, they have already existed. But now, like again, I go back to the idea of, let's say, Dubai, for example. The person who created the first tall building, or the person who created, whatever fantastic things they have in that country, right? Now that was created from creative imagination. So it's very important to differentiate that. And you know why it's important, especially on our journey as IM traders and IM builders and stuff like that, is that right now it's very possible that you guys are doing what you're doing towards your goal using the synthetic imagination. Like you're stuck on the activities that we already know about how success works and things like that. So we are no longer thinking outside the box, okay? This is what came to me, and I was like, you know what, Lillian? Right now, I'm at Platinum 2000. My goal is to get to Chairman 10, right? Right now, I'm a trader. My goal is to get to educator. If I don't get out of the box, I'll continue doing the same things over and over again, and I'll not be creating anything. There'll just be a lot of activity, and it'll look like new things are happening, but they're not. I'm still stuck in the synthetic. So we're not saying that synthetic is wrong, because you need synthetic, but Napoleon Hill said something which I found very interesting, that you cannot succeed to the level that you want beyond your wife's imagination with just synthetic imagination. You will succeed, yes, okay? You'll have a good job, you'll even have a good income, drive a nice car, but there's a level of success, and you people, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. When you talk of Bryce Thompson, he's a chairman 700 and 500, right? He's 23. That is beyond our imagination. You understand? Like, it is very difficult for any of us usually to think about Chairman 500. We think Chairman 10 is what it is. So we need to now go to that level. And the only way to get that is just to basically stop using what we know already, but now begin to technically go outside what we already know, and now sit and think and begin to create new things. So I don't know if Shiro has something to add on that.
Yeah, I think I'd also want to add that just like any other organ in your body, you have to keep using your imagination for it to make sense. For example, if you want to make like $1 million trading, you can't decide, okay, today I'm going to think about it, then tomorrow it has to be a constant idea in your head, and you have to see it, you have to see the rank. And the rank, sometimes we don't even say like P2000 anymore. What is P2000? That means $2,000. So you already need to see that imagination. You already have to have it in your mind and practice it, because if you don't, then it becomes inactive. I mean, you become dormant, as in you're not able to hold your imagination, because today you're thinking about that rank, or today you're thinking about Forex trading, and tomorrow you're thinking about, I want to look for another job. You understand? So you kind of have to, like even like the moms on this call, like when a child is born, if they don't use their organs, I mean, at some point they mean you have to keep like stimulating their hearing by using those, what are they called? Those toys. Yeah, to make sure that they're using their organs, right? So it's the same thing. So as you start to use your imagination, that's how it becomes more alert, just like any other organ of the body develops through use. Basically, that is how I can just break like it down. Muscle. Yeah, just like a muscle. I in fact, today I realized clearly I need to walk more, because I don't. So my muscles were very stiff because I don't walk a lot. You understand? So if you don't keep having phenomenal ideas and using your creative mind, then you become dormant. So I think we have to keep doing it. And that's why we said, even I think the second call, if you want to hit chairman, say I'll be at 10,000 Anna in IAM, then Forex come up with a figure, and let people even in the street actually think that you're crazy, but you're using your creative imagination to actually bring out the idea. So basically,
as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I don't know if you've read it.
No.
What's the name of the author? I think I'll try and remember the name of the author. But there's a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. What's the guy's name? Joe Dispenza. I highly recommend you read that book, because as you're talking, I'm just remembering the way he talks about the way we are as human beings. And this is now bringing back, so that you guys understand what synthetic imagination is. You can agree with me. When you wake up every day in the morning, most of you, including myself, we do the same thing. I, for example, wake up, sleep on the left side of my bed. I don't know why. I've left the right side for somebody. I don't know who that person is. But I sleep on the left side of my bed. When I wake up the same way. I remove my blanket. I come out. Probably there's water there. I drink some water. I go to those things that we do every single day. I can tell you I do the same thing every single day when I'm preparing for bed and everything. Now, what Dr. Dispenza says, and I think you should read that book, is that he says that for you to begin to change or to achieve things higher than what you already know, you need to begin to do the opposite. Because what you've been doing for myself for over 20, 30, 40 years, okay, I'm not over, okay, I'm over, besides the point, but what you need to begin to do is the opposite of what you're used to do. You break the habit of being yourself, because you've been working with what you know, your experiences, your everyday life. So that's, you're using your synthetic side of your mind, and your creative side is staying dormant. So he says, one day, instead of sleeping on the left side, sleep on the right. You'll feel uncomfortable. When you're brushing your teeth, I brush with the right. Start brushing with your left. And what you're doing, guys, you're developing this other side, your creative mind, okay, or your creative imagination, because that is where real incredible things are built out, you know. So if you want to go beyond average, a lot of people ask, how do I stop being average? It's by exercising both sides of your brain. And as you're talking, that's why I actually remember that point. So I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah. And then I guess for you to, of course, polish up or use your creative imagination, you need to have determination. And I mean, what do I mean by determination? You have to know why do you want to hit this rank? Why are you so determined to do this? Why are you so determined to learn how to trade Forex? Why are you so determined to become $1 million earner in US dollars? Again, for you to, I don't know if you have to be determined. I don't know
you have to be determined. You also have to put your determination and those ideas into a plan.
Exactly.
Like we talk about this all the time, but my question to you guys right now, as you're listening to me, do you really have a plan for every single thing? I mean, we talk with Shiro all the time, and you know, I was telling her the way, for me, as I've never really planned about getting a spouse or things like, I plan everything else. I'm not saying that I should do that, for example, but just talking about it practically. Do we plan for everything? Do we write it down? Because he says, put your imagination to plan, then write down the plan. So giving you an example, there's in that book, there's a story of a gentleman called Dr. Franklin Gonzalez. I can't pronounce the name properly, but Dr. Frank, he was an educator and a clergyman. Now, this guy had a desire to make $1 million. Let me tell you guys, this was very profound when I read it. He had a desire to make $1 million, and he struggled for 2 or 3 years trying to figure out. He used to obsess about it, and sometimes even I know Bernard is on this call. I can see him. He always tells us, you have to be obsessed about this idea. Think about it every single day. So he used to do the same thing, but he wasn't getting to that goal. Then one day, I think he just got upset, and he said, you know what he said? He was like, no, I am going to make $1 million in 1 week. One day he just woke up, I think he had a conversation with something, I can't remember that bit of the story, but he just woke up and said, in a week, I'm going to have $1 million from nothing, okay? And that the next day, I think he woke up, he wrote down his plan, because he knew that you have to write down what it is you're doing. So he decided to invite people to a sermon, because he was a clergy person, the next Sunday. So he prepared each, sermon, etc., went to the sermon, and then gave his sermon, okay? However, before the sermon, that morning when he woke up, again, this is where I found was profound. He woke up, he forgot the sermon he had worked on overnight, okay, and went to church. But then before that, he actually went down on his knees and prayed about the sermon, because he had forgotten the sermon, so he didn't have anything to read or anything. And what he did was he did an amazing sermon. He gave us an amazing sermon. People were moved. And in that congregation, one gentleman walked to him after the sermon and was like, you know what? I think you're the right person, because he was talking about the way he wants to build an institution that will be worth $1 million in terms of he needs $1 million to set it up. And he just, during his sermon, explained to people the details of, he painted the dream for them about how this institution was going to be. And a stranger walked up to him immediately and told him, you know what, your ideas are the best, and I think you can actually pull off this idea of your institution. And he created his IT college. They partnered. I think that guy was an Israeli, and the guy put in $1 million. Guys, he had been trying to do this for 3 years, but one, he just said enough is enough. So this is my point, guys. What is it? Enough is enough for you. When is enough is enough? When do you say, you know what, I'm tired of calling Lilo and complaining about pullbacks, or trade has gone the other way, or I don't have a sign up, or I was about to get to platinum 1000, or I was about, when do we stop and say, you know what, enough is enough? This is not ending before today. Okay, so that's also where the switch from synthetic to creative, because now he went beyond his normal thinking and did the extraordinary. He just said, you know what, I'm going to talk about my college in a sermon, and I'm going to really talk about it from everything in my heart. So that's what I wanted to talk about, because I thought it was very powerful. Because for me, I was like, I've been saying I want to be chairman, I want to be a master educator or whatever, but why am I taking so long? Why am I taking so long? Is it because I'm used to doing things the same way? Okay, or is it because I haven't yet gotten to my limit of enough is enough? Yeah.
And then I think, just to add on to that, remember, actually, that story actually goes back and tells us the definite of purpose is the starting point from which we must begin. Okay, when we want something, because we have an idea that requires maybe a lot of money, the natural thing is like you always want to give up. I mean, that's the first stop. Like, for example, a lot of money. Let us say you want to sign up someone. They're thinking $234. Oh my goodness, is a lot of money. Okay, and you're thinking, I'm going to give up, or saying, okay, the idea of starting Forex trading is a good one, but I can't do anything about it because it has, it requires a lot of money. But when you have that definite of purpose, and if you have your why, and that's why we keep saying you must have your why, then all those things are the back of your mind. I mean, you don't have to think, because if this guy, I think he was a clergyman, I think he was a lecturer or something. Yeah, I mean, if he said, I have a fantastic idea, but I don't have the funds and I give up, do you think you'd have gone back, written down his sermon, and actually said it in his church, and have a guy walk up to him and tell him, come to my office the next day, I'm going to give you the $1 million? No, he didn't give up. Okay, so don't always say, especially most of us, and we've met this kind of pull in our business, yes, you have an idea, but the money is always an issue. So again, the question that you asked, what if you had $1 million today? I mean, just take a minute and think about that. And I mean, it doesn't matter. The how does not matter. The important thing is that you have made a decision to get the money within a specific time. So basically, what does that mean? If you have a definite purpose, that idea that you want to sail through, if it requires money, so long as that purpose is there, you'll get money within the specified time that you've talked about.
Which also just brings me to this idea that, and we talk about it sometimes. Why don't you have $1 million? Like, seriously. Why don't I have $1 million?
Why don't I have $1 million?
It's possible because I don't even know what to do with $1 million. Why do I want to become chairman 10? What am I going to do with that money? What's the purpose of that money? Okay, so this is the challenge that we're giving to you, and this is what I got from Napoleon Hill, that maybe I haven't yet spent the $1 million in my mind. And that I need to break it down bit by bit by bit by bit by bit to the T. Every single dollar has to be spent. Okay, if it's $1 million, if it's $1 million bob, whatever your amount is, mine is $1 million. What are you going to? Because why would the universe conspire to give you $1 million for what? If you don't have a plan for it, if you're not even sure. And that's why, let me tell you, this chapter really got me, because this is what differentiated lottery winners from people who are just multi-generational wealthy people, okay? Because lottery winners never had a plan for their money, okay? So yes, it came, but it went, okay? But you'll find that people who have not average income, guys, we're talking about income that is beyond our imagination. Like one day you wake up and you can enter a jet and you can fly to Cancun, Mexico, and you can come back and you can have champagne on the plane and all that. It's because our minds have not yet fully developed there. So maybe, and this is what I was getting from Napoleon, begin to spend that money, like literally, right? And then, as we said earlier, write it down. Yeah. So I hope this is making sense, guys. If it's making sense, feel free to just type in 111.
If you're having fun with us in nature, please type in 111.
Yeah. And then you're talking about the fact that the minute, and I don't know if you guys have ever gone through this in your lives, there are some times that you're so sure about something. Yeah. You're so sure about it. The minute you know that feeling you get when you're sure about something, that it's going and it's going to happen now, okay? So that's what you should be, that's the feeling you should get when you're moving from the synthetic imagination to the creative. You know that tomorrow, by the way, I am signing up, and you know, there's like a feeling you have, I can't describe it, but it's your gut. And that's what he actually describes. So the creative is your gut. It's your gut. Yeah. So that's basically it. Then of course he talked about prayer, and which I found so interesting. I mean, Napoleon Hill, his book doesn't sound like it's a very religious or Christian book, because he talks about infinite purpose and, you know, things that are very abstract. But he mentions that this clergyman, before his sermon, before his great sermon, he went on his knees and consulted the infinite, whatever it was, environment, meaning that the infinite intelligence. And for me, I took this as he consulted God. He prayed about his sermon, and he just said, you know what, God, this is the day I get my 1 million. So maybe this is how we should be walking around every single day. Yeah. And I think lastly for me, so I'll just read the last thing that I wrote. There's determination, desire to achieve your goal, persistence, effort, and definiteness of purpose. So desire, determination to achieve your goal, persistent effort. So those are the things, those are the 4 things: persistent effort, and the last one, definiteness of purpose. So again, I'll repeat this, guys. If you always believed that hard work and honesty alone will bring you riches, it's not true. I don't know if you guys have always thought that, but as long as I work hard and I'm honest, I don't know if you guys have, have thought about that. I mean, I know I have, you know, I just say, you know what, let me just work hard. Let me just be a good person. And you think you're going to be wealthy. How many hardworking people do we know in this world who are not wealthy? How many honest people? And I'm not saying don't be hardworking and honest. This is the point. Riches in huge quantities are never the result of hard work. I'll repeat. Riches in huge quantities are never the result of hard work. I know some of you might be struggling with this thought. I struggled with it as well, because I work hard. I am on all the Zooms. I am training. I am master educator. I am chairman. You understand? But guys, look at the very wealthy people. Look at and I'm not talking about if you're working someone, your boss who lives in Runda, no, and is driving a nice car, no. I'm talking about people who have trucks and trucks of land, people who can do a holiday at the drop of a hat. They can decide they're going to China now, and they're like, oh, okay, let's go. Someone who can walk to DT Dobby and buy a G-Wagon. That's the kind of wealth we're talking about. People who can just say, you know what, I'm going to help this church and I'm going to give them $1 million, Bob. That is wealth. That kind of wealth, guys, does not come just from hard work and honesty. Okay, it comes as a result of definite demands based on the application of definite principles, and it's not chance or luck. So if you take anything from what I've said today, because I think that for me is, I'm wrapping up, that's what I think you should remember. For me, that's what it hits me, because I realized for real, the wealthy people I know, it's not about hard work, guys. It's not about just being honest. It's way beyond that. It's in your imagination. And I'm going to encourage you guys, when you have time, go back to that chapter. Napoleon Hill says that, first of all, I mean, we're about to finish the book at a point. We're actually halfway right now. But he says, read that book 3 times.
Yeah.
Read it 3 times. So if you've read it once, please go read it again, and a second time, and a third time. Don't just read it once, okay? And then he says, and that's why we have to finish the book. The 5 chapters, we've talked about the 5 topics. You cannot just use the 5 topics alone. You have to finish the book and apply all the 8 principles in that book. Okay, so hopefully in the next week or 2, we'll be done with the book, and you'll have all the principles to be able to just help you to succeed and get the kind of wealth that you want beyond your imagination. So I think I'm done for now. Over to Shiro.
I think
I've talked everything. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, lady, no, I just love doing this with Lilo. She's just amazing. I just like the way she can attend. So since I just want to like take a seat back and thinking, that's the point I wanted to speak about. So I think for me, I'll just leave with, again, ladies and gentlemen, how obsessed are we? Like we have talked about determination, the definiteness of purpose, desire to attain your goal, persistent effort, and an obsession. And like keep saying, like if I went to Flo Wanyonyi's page today, okay, how would I tell how obsessed she is with the business? If I went to how often does she invite for Zoom? Is she obsessed by impacting people's lives? If I ask her like how many educators are in our program, she only names 3. For sure, there's no obsession there. And remember, like BK keeps telling us, be obsessed. And ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, BK, if I'm not wrong, maybe has read this book. If I'm not wrong 2 times, maybe he has 1 round to go. And look at him just impacting lives on a daily basis. So basically, what are we saying? For me, what I would want to close this call with, be obsessed. Let us think you're a mad woman or guy in the streets, but you're obsessed with what you're doing. Use your creative imagination. Read the book 3 times or 4 times. Uncle Megwe is here with us. Uncle, come and say hi. He's one person who I know has read the book a couple of times. Just wave, you're not talking a lot. Just say hi.
Hi.
So you're just passing by. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, to bring up the call to an end, be obsessed, have desire, period. You're good to go. So thank you so much. It's just amazing doing this. As in, Uncle Megwe. Hey, Uncle Migs. He has a new name. You guys, Uncle Megwe is now called Uncle Migs.
Nice.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's always fun doing this. I mean, you guys being on the call gives us the morale. So thank you to my business partner.
Yeah, thank you, Shiro, as well. I mean, it's been awesome as always. For me, I don't have anything else to say, but, just take everything we've talked about today, like really seriously. Like at the end of the day, guys, we don't want to be here next year saying the same things.
Yeah.
Like something has to change. And what I know is if we don't get out of our comfort zone, if we don't develop our creative side of our brains,
We don't become obsessed.
if we don't become obsessed,
If we don't have the desire,
honestly,
We'll be in a
it will
rat
be
race.
so sad. We'll be creating a rat race for ourselves, and this can't be it. So for now, thank you. We'll see you next week on our next Forex in Heels edition.
And who knows, we may be in
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah, by the way, like $1 million in a week. Yes.
Yeah,
You'll be chairman in a week.
in a week. So bye,
Seriously,
guys.
like,
We need to start getting home.
See you guys.
Please invite for 7 p.m. Fill up the call Forex in Heels. We are going to bring it down. So bring all your prospects and let us close them for you. So thank you very much. Have an awesome evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.